Hey everybody, welcome to the 1804 show, chapter 2. I'm your host, Dollar Will, and this is another episode of 1804 History. And before I start, like, comment, subscribe to the YouTube channel, the 1804 show, chapter 2. Now let's begin. It's never easy to talk about these kind of stories, man. It's not easy to talk about lynchings, and mainly because of the fact that a lot of us heard about them and we never got in any justice, or the people that was involved never got prosecuted, arrested, or tried for this. And being a black man, I can't imagine living back in them days. And we are still meeting these injustices, but the difference now is social media. And the difference now is we're lynching each other. And whenever I see a post on social media about Kanye or Kyrie or just any type of black celebrity, and you see a whole bunch of your own people ganging up on them through the comment section, that's the new lynch mob. But they use us to attack each other. And we got to stop that, because that's cowardly to attack a person when they down, or attack a person when they're facing controversy. You know, we have to stop that. We have to stand together, even if we're wrong. It's not us. Well, it's not for us to paint a person as wrong. We should stand by each other through it all, because they stand by their own villains regardless. But let's get into the story. Back in 1916, a rich landowner by the name of Anthony Crawford, he was lynched in Abbeville, South Carolina. And his only crime was because he owned hundreds of acres of land. And he was born into slavery back in 1850. And he worked on this particular plantation to the point where he was able to purchase it and become the owner of not just this particular land, but many other land. So he was well off. If you would say, as far as like rich, he was the richest colored man in the county, and white folks couldn't stand that. They hated his guts. So one day he went up to the store to try to get his cottonseed purchased by the store owner. So the store owner trying to cheat him out of his money. So he pretty much did something that most Negroes in the South didn't do. He cursed at a white man, and he told the white man, "Give me back my damn cottonseed." And he was arrested for that. And while he was in jail, news was spread that, oh, Mr. Crawford, he's uppity, so we got to teach him a lesson. So the mob of 400 white people, white men, women, and children, gathered the local jail. And not only they went into jail to go get him, but he was beaten, he was stabbed, and They tied him up to the back of a truck and drove his body all across the county. And then they took him to the fairgrounds. And then they lynched him. And not only that they lynched him, but they shot his body up and filled his body, his dead corpse, with 200 bullets. And they cut off his fingers, his toes, his ears, cut off pretty much everything to save as souvenirs. And after that, his family couldn't go retrieve his body to bury him. They had to leave him where he stood. And were drove out of town, ran out of town. So his family, well, the remaining family members moved up to Illinois, where they have reside ever since it happened. But his granddaughter was able to get the county to be held responsible for her grandfather's death. And here's my thing. I have an ancestor that was lynched as well. I'm actually named after him. So it's kind of like when you revisit the past, you can't help but to feel bad. You can't help but to have empathy because you have a family member that this happened to. And nothing ever happened to these people. And I'm not racist one bit, but I'm not stupid. I'm fully aware of what I am, who I am, and what can happen to me for being who I am. And we just have to understand that when they call us savages, like what kind of people that will ambush or manhandle one man? And it's always happened like that. And these people just be so cowardly to the point that they can't fight you one-on-one. They gotta gang up on you. And they act like we ain't supposed to have a chip on our shoulder or act like we ain't supposed to be upset. But you wouldn't know what it was like. Everybody wants to be black until it's time to be black. They can listen to our music, they can wear our clothes, they can talk like us. But as far as shit like this, they couldn't handle it. They couldn't handle being racially profiled. They couldn't handle the racism. They couldn't handle the bigotry. They couldn't handle being called a nigger all day. Or not one time. You know what I'm saying? I see the double standards. And it's just a lot of rhetoric nowadays. It's a lot of selective outrage when the real outrage is that we want and we need our reparations. And there's nothing wrong with wanting reparations. Don't let anybody tell y'all any differently, because we are owed that. They had took this man's land. They took a lot of our land. We owned land. We had things. We had businesses. We had our own communities, and they came, saw, and they conquered our land. They conquered our businesses. They destroyed our homes. They destroyed everything that we had. And they put us into the shit that they wanted us to have. You know what I'm saying? And as far as black people, man, we built this country. We showed people how to run this shit. And they killed us. You know what I'm saying? They took everything that we owned. They took our names. They took our motherfucking culture. They took our religion. They took everything from us. You know, we're the best of the best. That's why they destroying us. They try to destroy us, but we are undefeated. We have been undefeated. We have been here. We ain't come from no Africa. We came from here. We've been here. But yet, they just want to rewrite history. They want us to think that we from somebody or somewhere else. But we from here. We've been here forever. You know, and it just makes me mad when you see people like me and people like you killing each other. But we've been through a whole lot. We've been through so much. And this man wasn't doing nothing to nobody. All he was trying to do was just purchase his cottonseed. Because they already think we're dumb. So when you insult our intelligence, it's like an insult. So we can't be insulted when you insult our intelligence. But this man didn't deserve that. And there's countless stories of that, which I'm going to come across and bring on to the show. Because these kids need to hear stuff like this. Need to know about stuff like this. All that stuff like adding, subtraction, and fractions and algebra. They're not even going to use that. But stuff like this, they can use. The stuff that can remind them of what people have to go through in order for them to have the things that they have today. Because we became so entitled. We became so spoiled. We became so ungrateful to the point that it's sickening. Nobody owes you shit. I don't owe nobody shit. So when it comes to stuff like this, man, I can't help but to be upset. I can't help but to take matters into my own hands with my life. Because our ancestors, man, were the goats. Our ancestors put up with so much bullshit and put up with so much scrutiny, adversity, discrimination, and still made it happen. While niggas have all the abilities to do this and do that, but they lazy. Again, they entitled. And wonder why they don't have nothing. And this man was in the Deep South, Jim Crow era, and still managed to be middle class. Because you was either poor or you was rich back in them days, and he was well off. You know what I'm saying? He had money. And that's why they hated him so much, because they didn't want Negroes to own land. So what you do, you pass laws or you conduct violence. That's the only way to get a black person back in them days out of town, is when you forcibly took it. They took everything from us. You know, a lot of us fought back, but a lot of us couldn't fight back because of the fact that the law were the Klan. And you had judges who turned the other cheek because they wanted to be reelected. So they turned the other cheek and took a side eye, while white vigilantes and mobs came and killed us. You know what I'm saying? There's no reason all those people to attack one man, but they always been cowardly like that. And I'm not saying all white people, but the racist white people, they cowards. They always been like that. They always needed a motherfucking team to go against one person. And he ain't do anything wrong. All he was trying to do was be a businessman. And he got killed for that. And his crime or his murder was never solved. Like, when will we get it? And then you apologize 70 years after you do the shit, and then you put a plaque near his murder site. So it's just shit like that, man. Just get to me. Because it's still going on today. Black men still are being hung from trees and stuff like that, and still declared a suicide during their autopsy. But nobody cares. Somebody sit back and think about it. They only care when it's close to home. And we gotta wake up. Don't think you beneath this, because you're not. But yeah, that's the end of the story. Like, comment, subscribe to the YouTube channel, the 1804 Show, Chapter 2. Hit the bell for future episodes. If you want to donate to the Cashapp, Cashapp, $, the 1804 Show. And I'm out. Peace.